Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Edwenka, and I'm here with organizer of the poker run, the BVI poker run, Nick Willis, and Sergeant Louis Buckley. He's going to talk to us about safety and boating etiquette during the poker run. Welcome to Spotlight. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for allowing us in.
Yeah.
Thank you very much as well.
Great. Nick, you're organizing. Is it as big this year as it's been in past years?
Oh my gosh, Cromwell. I've always said to everybody, if it goes smaller, we'll stop. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's growing bigger and bigger every year. We're having a hard job finding places to put up with us all. It's amazing how many enjoyment and fun.
And it's starting out at Bitteren?
This is Laverick Bay.
Laverick Bay?
Laverick Bay. That's the first stop where we have registration. And from there, we'll do a really lovely start procedure. And all the boats will head down to Trellis Bay, to Jeremy's Cafe, for the first card. Once they've got their first card, then they go down to the north side of Tortola, and it's our first stop ever in Jos van Dijk, which is the Foxy's Taboo. So that'll be the second stop. From there, we go to Sober's Hole, to Scaramouche restaurant. Once we've done there, we go to Norman Island and Pirates for lunch.
Okay.
And everybody has fun there. The videos on the television are just amazing to see. From there, we do the last stop before getting back to us at the Pier Park. This is another new one. And we're all very excited to see how it all works in. But we're working with the guys there, Meslin, Sean, and fingers crossed it'll all go well. And then they all turn up back at Laverick for the show and the results.
All right, great. So what date are we talking about now?
This is Sunday the 28th
of
May.
That's next
So yes,
Sunday.
we've just got a couple of weekends and we're there.
Oh, great. So it's right on us, right around the corner.
Yes, it is.
And when you want all the boats to be at Laverick Bay?
I always say as early as possible. Please, guys, we've got a lot to do before you head out on the run for the Sunday. I love boats coming in from 8:30, 9 o'clock, because I really like to get the start at 11 o'clock. In order
so you want to leave Laverick Bay at 11?
Yes, the helicopter arrives at just before 11, and when sat in the air, it's there and it's wanting to take pictures of the off. So yes, as near as to 11 as possible. I'm not going to let it go any more than 10 minutes past the time this year.
So from 8 o'clock, you'd like boats to start coming in because there's registration.
Registration takes a long time, picking up your t-shirts, just getting prepared, chatting with your next door neighbor on the dock. It's all part and parcel of it. So as early as possible, please.
Now, what's the registration fees?
It's not a registration fee per se. They buy a hand.
Okay.
So the hand consists of 5 cards with a wild card, making it 6, and that will cost the person $250.
Okay.
Of which all goes back into the pot to give charity, a huge check, and the first, second, and third.
Okay. And that you could, in your boat, you can have as many passengers as you want, but you only pay $250 for the boat.
Okay, no, one boat last year bought 14 hands. So you can have as many hands as you like, obviously to make
So
it...
each individual on the boat could have his own hand?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's cool.
So there's no entry fee as such. It's
Right.
just like that.
Is
So
you
choose.
enter the pot.
That's right.
It's poker, right?
Yes.
You enter the pot.
Yes, it is. And once they get back to Laverick, then we give them this wild card, which is the sixth card, and it gives better hands all round. And wow, when you pull that last one.
And so the wild card can go to you can make that so that it becomes your best hand.
Yep.
That's what the wild card is about.
Poker is 5 cards. What we do is to draw that 6th, and then the lowest of the cards we tear up. So you've got pretty good hands.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we win the poker hand, wins the pot.
Yes.
Okay. And your last pot was what?
We had $8,000 for the first, 5 for the second, and 3 for the a third. It all depends on how many hands are bought. Because, as I say again, we don't make any money out of this. All the money we get in goes back out to them. So we don't make any money, so it's all dependent. But we've been able to keep to that with a $10,000 check for Virgin Gorda Charitable Trust, which is a huge charity in the
And
BVI.
that charitable trust does what with the money?
They give it to different organizations within that trust. At the moment, we're still building a swimming pool on Virgin Gorda, and part of that money goes through to them. And basically,
And how does one apply for assistance through the trust? How can an organization that is doing charitable work for young people in the community, can they get money from the trust? Is there money that's there?
Mr. Vern Wheatley deals with the trust completely, and he would be able to tell you all exactly how you could get into that.
Well, okay, but that is a possibility. Does the trust function in that way, where it has money for community,
For different communities, yes.
for worthy
That's right.
causes?
We had a sports team the other day. They needed help to go abroad
Yes.
to do their thing, so we were able to help.
To make a contribution,
Yes,
okay.
we were able
I
to help.
understand that. Right. Now, Sergeant Buckley,
Yes.
of course, boats, then you have entertainment, and person's gonna be making merry, you're gonna have a few drinks. And so what safety procedures are gonna be in place so that we make sure that everything goes smooth in the poker run?
Well, the Marine Police will be on hand, and what we're stressing is safety first. And by saying that, what we're asking first and foremost is that boaters do not exceed the capacity of their vessel. That's the first.
So you'll be checking to see
Yes.
boats overcrowded and,
Yes,
and
we
so
will
on?
definitely be looking at that. We are also asking that persons not consume alcohol and operate a vessel, because that will impair
So
their
have
ability.
a designated captain?
Yes, yes, and also assistance where it comes on to whether it be deckhand duties,
Yes,
tying up, etc. The same thing goes for medication,
So you need two persons who are alcohol free
preferably.
on the boat. One,
Yes.
one driving and one putting over the bumpers, tying up the boat and making sure that everything runs smoothly on the boat.
And looking out as well, assisting the captain
Okay.
on their journey. The other thing we'll stress is that we're asking for vessels to have on board a first aid kit, adequate amount of life vests for persons that are aboard the vessel.
Everyone should have a vest.
Yes, we're also going to be
Are we gonna make them wear it all the time while they're on the boat?
Yes, we are
Okay.
going to do that. And we're also asking persons not to speed in the harbors.
So what's the
5
speed limit?
knots is
5
the-
knots is the speed limit in the,
is the speed limit.
speed limit in the harbor.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And most importantly, we are asking for persons not to operate their vessel in an unsafe manner that would endanger other boats on the water, and just to operate their vessel within the rules of the sea. And that's basically what we're stressing. I don't know if Mr. Willis would like to add anything to that.
You've pretty much covered. What you'll all be given is an actual safety rules sheet when you register, and I would say to you all to read them, to ingest and look at it. We're not being anything else, but we just don't want anything to happen to any of you guys out of there. And if we keep by these rules, there is less chance of that.
Yes.
But do look at this sheet when we give it to you. You know us all in Leverick Bay, and we give you this stuff not just to be thrown away. Look through it and read it before you leave.
Okay.
That'd be super.
What about entertainment, Nick? Once you come back now that the party starts,
Yes.
and
You
have a lot of things going on.
I've built this stage over the swimming pool this year, as I do every year. And Mr. Nice Guy from Virgin Gorda organizes this model show that is quite eye-opening. There's some beautiful ladies that parade up and down with
So
the
you're gonna have a
music-
fashion show?
with the music, yes, and it'll be everything from long evening wear to bikinis to everything in between. So yes, it's
And you got DJs going to be dancing?
everything. Yes.
Okay. Any bands?
No bands this year
But
because
you're going to have DJs.
what we found that the DJ is quite good.
Yes.
It works like that.
Okay.
It works.
Cool. So everything is under control. You're ready to go. It's May 28th.
May the 28th. We're ready. Yes.
And it's Laverick Bay. You want people to be there from 8 o'clock. You'll be there waiting, ready to sign people up, to sell some hands.
I'll be there from 6 o'clock.
You'll be there from 6 o'clock.
Yes.
So you can come as early as 6.
Early as 6. Yes, it doesn't matter.
Sell some hands. Each person could bring. You could bring your own hand. The price could go up to.
More hands.
That's right. The more hands,
More
the
money.
more money. The bigger
More
the pot.
money it goes through. Just before I finish, I've just got to say that last year we had one boat from Miami. It came down from the powerboat, the Florida Powerboat Club, and Poker Runs of America, which are huge. They loved it so much. This year they're bringing 2 boats down.
Okay.
They have actually affiliated us with them. They actually, in Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, was playing our DVD right through the whole 2 days, 3 days.
Okay.
We have hit.
So now you have international acclaim.
We have hit the top as it is, and it can only get better.
Okay.
They're bringing down 2 beautiful boats. Actually, they're on the way at the moment in a barge. And just thank you to Stu Jones, who's organised on it from the Florida Powerboat Club.
And of course, you got boats coming from Puerto Rico,
We've got around about 22 from Puerto Rico. We've
St.
got
Thomas.
10 from St. Croix. We've got 4 from St. Martin. And
Okay.
St. Thomas, I haven't had a total figure, but I know it's over 20.
Wow.
But the most will come from Tortola and Virgin Gorda. It's 90%.
So you're looking at over 100 boats possibly.
I don't really like to say, but it's going to
It
be.
scares you, right? It's getting so big.
It's going to be.
It sounds like a lot of fun as well.
Oh, it's lovely, and I can't thank you guys enough for letting us do this. To bring Mr. Buckley here, Sergeant Buckley, to do his safety bit. It's a morale boost.
You're bringing your breathalyzer. I heard you guys just got some breathalyzer to check the alcohol level and so on. Yeah. So, well, that's great. You're under the Terranean clock. We know you got to get the ferry to Virgin Gorda, and it's now 8:30. So
thank you so much
I
again.
know you're being terrorized by the clock, so you gotta go.
Oh, it is always.
But it was great having you guys. And just for the last time, the 28th of May,
28th of May.
it's a Sunday.
Yes.
Come as early as 6 o'clock to get
Absolutely.
to buy your hand.
Yeah.
It's at Laverick Bay. It's going to
Starts and stops at Laverick Bay.
right.
First stop, Trellis. Second stop, Foxy's Taboo on Yost. Third stop, Scaramouche on Soapers. Then Norman Island Pirates. Tortola Pier Park. And then back to us.
Great.
It is.
Thanks for coming by. It's great to have you guys, and all the best.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Take care.
indeed. Yeah, we're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. We're coming back with Acting Permanent Secretary in the Governor's Office, in the Deputy Governor's Office, Carol Stout-Igwe, Deputy Commissioner of Police Alvin James, and Assistant Commissioner Charles Benjamin of the Inland Revenue Department to talk about liquor licensing. Keep it locked right at the Spotlight. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited and CTL Home Center, the best products for the lowest prices, period.
The newly renovated Village Key Deli hosts a new spacious air-conditioned seating area with free Wi-Fi to help you fully enjoy the tasty expanded menu. From fresh salads, sandwiches, and wraps, if you're counting the calories but still want something tasty with fresh, healthy ingredients, pick one of the many wraps and salads at Village Key Deli or even create your own. Village Key Deli also provides catering services for any function, conveniently located in the heart of Roadtown. Make a fresh, healthy choice and stop by Village Key Deli. Enjoy the new seating area or call in your order at 494-2771 extension 4. Open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Village Key Deli.
is one of life's greatest accomplishments, so don't take it lightly. Protect your investment with a Nagico homeowners policy, the best insurance you can get. It covers free valuation of your property every 3 years, up to $2 million in liability coverage, travel insurance, medical, and we continue to pay your premiums if you become permanently disabled. To learn more, call us at 494-6433 or visit us at Century Insurance, Virgin Gorda or Roadtown. Nagico Insurances, fast, fair, and always there.
The nice thing about the National Bank is that they are actually true to their concept of being a national bank in terms of understanding the needs of all islands. They understood what we needed at New Horizon Ferry Services in expanding our offerings to improve shipping across our island. Because we have been in this business now for many years and established a good relationship with the bank, they saw our track record and they understood what we needed to expand our business, and together we have formed a great partnership that is helping our business to grow.
Paradise means being able to expand our business at the right time.
National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official Bank of Paradise.
Serving the community for over 25 years, Tortola Concrete Limited is the leading producer of concrete products in the BVI. With grades of 3,000 to 5,000 PSI, Tortola Concrete ready-mix quality unmatched in the industry, and we can mix to your specifications. Our aggregates are clean through our unique washing process for our smooth, clean mix. And our special chilling process makes our concrete crack resistant. Tortola Concrete Limited is the concrete company for all your quality concrete products. Gravel, road base, face stone, boulders, armor rock, coarse sand, terrace, and the cleanest, strongest, crack resistant, ready mix concrete. Tortola Concrete batch plan serve you Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. until the last load. Our knowledgeable, effective staff gives you free estimate and delivers on time to any location. Contact Tortola Concrete at 494-3259, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Conveniently located in Parkwood Pond near the BVI electricity plant. At Tortola Concrete Limited, the strength is in the mix.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with the acting Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Carolyn Stout Igwe, in the Deputy Governor's office. Good to see you, Sister Igwe. Yes, indeed. And my good brother, Assistant Commissioner Charles Benjamin of the Inland Revenue Department. Good to see you, Brother
Good to be here,
Benjamin.
Bravo.
And of course, Deputy Commissioner Alwyn James is standing by. He's going to join us in a little while. But first of all, we're talking about liquor license. Anything new happening with the legislation for the liquor license?
Yes, Mr. Smith. We are at an advanced stage with the draft. Cabinet a couple years ago commissioned a committee chaired by the Permanent Secretary in the Deputy Governor's Office to review the existing act, because there had been a number of complaints. Persons are complaining about having to renew the licenses twice a year. And so the committee was charged with reviewing the act and making recommendations. So the committee submitted a report to Cabinet, I think more than a year ago, and then the AG's Chambers was charged with drafting the new legislation based on the recommendations. So we are at an advanced stage with that. Right now we are just about ready to go back to Cabinet. But I think before we make a final run to Cabinet, we want to do some public consultation on that. So we're going to be doing that shortly. But because the licensing date is June 1st, we thought it was necessary to remind the public, because ever so often we are bombarded at the Office of the Deputy Governor with persons applying for temporary licenses because persons simply miss the licensing period. So we are here to
letting them know that getting the license renewed or getting a new license is around the corner. That's next couple of weeks. Next couple of days, actually. You said
June 1st is the licensing date, but if it's a new application, they have to submit it 14 days in advance,
Oh.
which is by May 18th this week.
That's tomorrow? No.
Thursday.
Thursday.
And then for renewals, they have until June 1st. But
Okay.
we really want to stress for the new ones in
New
particular.
applications is May 18th, and renewals is June the 1st.
Yes.
All right, cool. So now, why we need liquor licenses? What is a liquor license? What does it do? And why do we need a liquor license for the newcomers?
Oh, Mr. Smith, what the liquor license is, it entitles the holder to sell intoxicating liquor. And by intoxicating liquor, we're talking about spirits, wine, beer, distilled or spirituous liquor, which is to be consumed on or off the premises. So in fact, with the license, the senior magistrate is actually licensing the applicant to sell liquor on the premises. So every single premises where liquor is consumed or is sold, the applicant or that premises, the license holder, must in fact have a license.
Okay. And you could buy from him and you can go with it wherever you want to go.
Certainly. And there are various classes of licenses. Some licenses can't be consumed on the premises, and one such would be the wholesale license. That is not consumed on the premises. Almost all the other licenses are sold and can be consumed on the licensed premises.
So how many classes of liquor licenses there are?
There are quite a number of licenses. We have the wholesale license, we have the retail liquor license, restaurant liquor license, a club liquor license, or a beer liquor license, a bar liquor license, and then we also have the hotel liquor license.
So, why, and so what is the difference? What makes these licenses different? I mean,
The different types of
between a
businesses.
bar and a restaurant and a hotel, they basically engage in similar activities. So what, I mean, I don't want to spend much time on it, but I'm just intrigued by the whole thing.
Well, the Liquor License Act has been around since 1964.
Okay.
So those are the categories that existed from then.
So those are some of the changes that will be made, you think?
Well, I guess yes and no, because, for example, you might have a hotel. The hotel might be running a particular aspect of the hotel, but then they might be leasing out the bar. So that's a separate person that needs to operate that. Not every hotel might be operating the restaurant as well. So a person needs a separate license for that. So I guess there is a role for each of them, I guess based on the establishment and what the establishment is doing.
Okay. Then what is the process? How do you apply for a liquor license and, both a renewal and first a new one and then the renewal?
Okay, let's take you through the steps for applying for a new license. As we said earlier, most of the licenses are renewed for a 6-month period, except for the wholesale license and the still license. Those licenses are run for a 12-month period. But all other licenses are only granted for a 6-month period, so that the licensing dates are actually the 1st of June and the 1st of December. The 1st of June is now coming up, and as we said, for new applicants, they must have already started that process. They must have already filled the new application form, which is a form A. That form, they can get that from the Inland Revenue Department, or they can get it online. You fill that application form, you get it into the senior magistrate, the Commissioner of Police, the Commissioner of Inland Revenue. In addition, you should also serve copies on the Environmental Health Department, the Fire Department, Tongue and Country Planning Department. Once that is done, then you're also supposed to advertise your intention to seek a license from the magistrate on the 1st of June.
And that advertisement goes in
that That
what's
ad
acceptable
must-
advertisement?
Right. It must go in the local newspaper, any of the local newspapers, for 2 consecutive listing. Okay. So
What about online agencies?
We didn't have that in
no,
1964.
didn't have it then. So
So-
it's only saying you must advertise in a local newspaper.
So that's unacceptable at this particular
At this point in time.
until the act changes.
Yes, hopefully we
And-
make provision.
On the first of June, the applicant must appear in court, and they must bring with them those copies of the ad. Okay, and then they appear in court, and then if there are no objections to the magistrate granting a license to that person, then the magistrate issues a certificate to the applicant, which they would then take to the Inland Revenue Department, and they would then pay for the license. Until you pay the Inland Revenue Department, you do not have a license to operate.
Now, as an applicant, do you have to be in any kind of standing, whether financially, morally, do you have to have any background references, anything that anything that accompanies the application other than just what you put on the application itself?
No, in fact, there's some reasons why the magistrate may not grant a license to an applicant. And such would be if the applicant is not 21 years old. If they have bad character. So a police record, yes, could be asked for. Or if the premises is not suited for the type of license that you're applying for.
So is that information submitted with the application, or is just something that
No, that's not submitted with the application.
but you must be prepared to respond to that question
Certainly, because-
should the magistrate
Right,
want
because you
an
find
answer to
that
that.
you find that the Commissioner of Police can object to the license,
Okay.
or any individual can also object to a license, including another license holder can object to the magistrate granting a license to someone else. And there are certain grounds on which that can take place. Let's say if they're of the opinion that there's sufficient premises already licensed in the neighborhood, then yes, that is one of the grounds on which the magistrate may be asked not to grant a license to that applicant.
And we,
Okay, go, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that for temporary liquor licenses, for those persons who miss the licensing period, when they come to the Deputy Governor's office to apply, we do request that they bring a police record as well for applying for temporary liquor licenses.
Okay. And you apply for temporary liquor licenses in what instances?
Not that we're promoting it. That's why I'm here trying. We're not promoting it, but the reason why they would come for a temporary liquor license, it could be a new business that was established since the licensing date, and also for persons who would have missed, for whatever reason, they missed the licensing date and they want to continue to operate legally, then they apply for a temporary liquor license. The law makes provision for the governor has discretionary power under the act to give approve temporary liquor licenses.
Okay. But say in the Festival Village, for example,
Okay.
Do you get temporary licenses there?
Those are some special one-off licenses.
Okay.
And those applications are collected from the police.
So you apply, so you apply
Yes.
to the police department for those
Right, so
licenses?
Mr. James will speak to that when he comes on.
Right, and those are just one-day licenses, so it's not the 6-month license that we're
Well,
talking about.
will there be more than one day licenses?
Right, they can be more than one day,
They'll be
but
for that
but they're
for period.
they're granted on a daily basis.
Oh, you gotta get a
Yes, it's- in
approval
fact,
every
you
day?
pay-
Well, you
Pay.
don't get approval every day, but let's say for the festival
3 days.
coming
Yeah.
up, we know it's going to be like, let's say, 7 days. So you would apply to the licensing magistrate to grant a license for 7 days. Okay.
Okay.
And then it's $10 per day for that type of.
But you could pay for all, you could have
And
it
you
done
pay
all one
everything-
time.
you pay everything one time.
Okay, so I would then refer to it as a period license, or license for a
yes,
specific period.
But except that it's a daily.
Okay.
Charge.
It's a daily charge. All right, okay, cool. Where were we? Now, when you miss the deadline, say June, the person renewing the license misses the June 1st
Right.
deadline, what happens?
So that's when they come to the office of the deputy governor to apply for a temporary liquor license.
Okay, so you don't have to reapply, because I thought that you had
Yes,
to
so
reapply for a new license.
Yeah,
Right,
what-
so they come to us for the temporary license, right?
Uh-huh.
And we give them the license up until the next licensing date.
Okay.
And then, once you miss that date, you're considered now as a new applicant, even though you might have been in existence for 20 years. As long as you miss a licensing date, you're now considered a new applicant.
So you get a temporary, so I missed June 1st.
Uh-huh.
I get a temporary license for 6 months.
Right?
Well,
And
you,
up
you, get
until
a, you get a temporary license up
Up
until
until
the next
December.
licensing period.
December.
So your license, the
it's
license
just-
the license that the deputy governor would issue would expire on the 30th of November.
Okay.
So come the 1st of December, you must then apply to
You
the
have to go
senior
through-
magistrate.
Okay, so you're not a renewal any
Right.
longer, you're now a new applicant.
A
Right,
new
so the
applicant.
14-day period, application period applies to you then.
And it's also important to note, Mr. Smith, that for renewal of liquor licenses, the applicant need not appear in court on that day.
For renewal,
For the renewal of a liquor license, the
Okay.
applicant need not appear in court unless the magistrate so directs that they do.
but for a new applicant,
Yes.
they
For
must,
new applicants, you
must
must appear in court.
Okay. Now, what do you need to pay special attention to on your application to make it to be more to run smooth, to go smoother, to be expedited?
The most important thing is you don't miss the deadline.
Okay.
And
Okay,
also,
'cause the law provides that if you miss the deadline, that may be one of the grounds on which the magistrate may refuse to grant a license.
and also it's very important that the information, the application information is reflected on what's on your trade license. You can't have your trade license in Cromwell Smith and applying for a liquor license in Alvin James, for example. So you need to make sure that all the documents are consistent and that you have the relative information, the application information, the names, and everything is consistent. And for new persons, definitely the newspaper clippings
Okay. So make sure all your documents
are in order.
are in order. How long does it take to get before the license is approved?
For the new ones, it's basically once there are no objections, the magistrate would go ahead and issue the certificate to Inland Revenue
The very same day.
the same day. Now, for the renewal, it might take a few days because, Mr. Smith, we have at the end of December, the last sit-in was in December, yes. So 285 license holders. So it takes a little bit of time to process those. So the new ones were only like 62. So those are not basically automatic. Once the magistrates approve, it can be granted the same day. But for the renewals, there's a little bit more processing time because of the numbers that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Now, what role, Brother Benjamin, other than collecting the fees, because that's where you pay the fees to. You
The fees are paid to Inland
Revenue. What other role does the Inland Revenue Department play in the process?
Well,
Are there penalties for not paying on time? What else happens?
yes, if the license is not paid on time, then there's a 20% fee which is charged. So it is important that the applicant or the license holder pay for their license on time. Generally, even though there are 200 plus renewals which are done, if in fact there are no objections to those applications, then the magistrate would send us the certificate within a few days after the 1st of June, so that the applicants or the persons having the licenses, they can come to Inland Revenue and pay for their licenses. So it goes pretty fast.
Well, other than that, Inland just
about it.
stays out of it.
We just have to ensure that the licenses are paid for, and that's it. I mean, if an applicant hadn't paid for a license, then yes, would notify the magistrate so that the license may not be granted in that case until they've paid up, any outstanding fees.
So you can, okay, can you get the license before paying the fees, or do you have to pay the fees, take the receipt, and then go to the magistrate to get the license? Or where you get that from? Who issues the license?
Inland Revenue issues the license.
Okay, so you can't get a license?
No, the magistrate would grant a certificate, which is saying to Inland Revenue, please collect from the applicant X number of dollars for whatever type of license that had been approved. So you pay that to the Inland Revenue Department. It is also important to note that applicants should also be registered with the Inland Revenue Department for payroll tax purposes.
Okay. So your business has to, the business for which you're getting the license also has to be registered.
The fact that you were issued a trade license.
So you have to have a trade license?
That you're trading, and so if you're trading, then you should be registered with the Inland Revenue Department for payroll tax purposes.
And do you also need a good standing certificate?
No.
You don't need a good standing certificate? Okay, cool. I want to bring in Deputy Commissioner James to talk about the police role. If there's nothing else that you want to say, Brother Benjamin, concerning your role as Inland Revenue Assistant Commissioner.
I think we've said
you covered
cover for the Inland Revenue Department.
Okay, great. I'm going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. We're going to come back with Deputy Commissioner Alvin James to talk about the police role in the licensing process and what you need to know about that as well. Keep it locked right here, the Spotlight, and we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Nagico with Side Assistance. How may we assist you?
Feel comfortable knowing that if you have a problem on the road at any time, Nagico Roadside Assistance is at your service. Available 7 days a week, 365 days a year across the whole island of Tortola. Just dial 346-4357 and we will be there ready to assist getting you back on the road. Whether it's a dead battery, flat tyre, low gas, or even if you've locked yourself out of the vehicle, we'll be there to get you on the road again. For further information, call Nagico Insurances at 284-494-6433.
Here in the Virgin Islands, we are blessed to live and work in paradise. Paradise just doesn't mean our tranquil blue waters and green hills. National Bank of the Virgin Islands defines paradise as any place or condition that fulfills your aspirations. To me, paradise means knowing that I will have a financing partner when I'm ready to open my first business. I feel confident that I can manage whatever life throws my way because I know my bank will be with me every step of the way. That's why I choose National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
My future's looking so bright, 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 with the official bank of paradise, paradise.
National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here. I've just been joined by Deputy Commissioner James, welcome to Spotlight, my brother. Good to see you.
Good evening, Cameron.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, man. The police seems to be having I would suspect have a major role because you are out in the community and you've seen the activities around the bar and so on, and you must have something to say about who gets a license, who gets renewed, and that sort of thing. What role does the police play in the liquor license process?
Well, the first role that the police plays is the role of inspection. So all applications for new licenses, the police is required to go and inspect those premises and ensure those premises are suitable for the operations of a bar or.
What's a suitable place?
So it's to see that the structure, the roof, the floor, those sort of things are proper and fit for establishing a business. So we take pictures, we write a report that's been submitted to the Deputy Governor's office and to the magistrate for the whole process in determining whether or not a license should be issued.
Okay. And now when you go to the court, so you show up at the court during the hearing, the licensing hearing, or
yes.
you just
yes.
Okay.
Currently,
and why are you there?
The Commissioner of Police presently in the act is who makes that representation. So we have an inspector who is responsible for going there on behalf of the Commissioner of Police and present if we have any objections in relation to a license, speak to any reason why a person might be unfit to have a license.
So that means that you have you make regular checks on the bars in the country, because I mean, how do you determine whether a person is unfit to have a license or not? And I guess you would also do that for a person who wants to renew, to give information about the renewal process as well.
Well, as said by Mr. Benjamin earlier on, one of the requirements is that you need to be of good character. So of course the police maintains all convictions in relation to criminal record, so we can speak to the fact as to whether or not you have a good character. We, in terms of premises that are renewing their license, so we would keep records of all incidents that have occurred in those premises, what types of incidents. One of the requirements in the law is that the police must be able to control that premises. So if it is that the incidents that are happening there, the police is unable to control it, too many incidents are happening there, we can use those as grounds to object to a license being renewed.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yes. Part of our responsibility as well is to conduct inspections. So we conduct inspections to see whether or not a person are displaying their license, because if you don't display your license, it's an offense. There are certain offenses in the act. For instance, if you serve liquor to persons that are drunk on your premises, if you serve liquor to police officers in uniform, those are offenses.
Liquor to minors.
If you sell to persons under the age of 16, if you allow prostitution to take place on your premises, all of those are offenses that the police need to enforce. There's also hours of closing. So the Act make provisions for closing hours. So persons with restaurant license, bar license are required to close at midnight. You're not supposed to sell intoxicated liquor beyond midnight.
Really?
That's correct. Okay. And on Sundays, you're not supposed to sell past 9 o'clock.
In the night?
Yes. There's also special provisions for days of Good Friday, Christmas.
Okay.
Clubs is different. A club license is different.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting, because persons been complaining about the club party being interrupted by police like 1 o'clock in the morning, which is relatively early, and they want to party, and here come the police and shut the club down. Maybe I don't know whether it's noise.
Is it a person who?
Or is it part of the law?
The police, unlike all other agencies, are responsible for enforcing all of the laws in the territory.
Okay. So it could be any.
So while you may have a club license and your club license permits you to go beyond midnight, But also we have what called a Noise Abatement Act, and the Noise Abatement Act say that your premises must be soundproof. So if your premises is not soundproof and you are disturbing the neighborhood and they report it, certainly the police can come in.
So your club's supposed to be soundproof?
That's correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
And so if you disturb a neighbor, the police will come and tell you,
well, turn down the music
or shut it off.
That's correct.
Oh, okay, so that's probably what's happening.
One of the things that the police facilitate as well is very often we see applications because the Financial Secretary has powers under the legislation to permit persons to open beyond 12 o'clock. So if you're having a special event or it's an event related to tourism, the Financial Secretary can give you permission to open beyond midnight. Very often we have establishments that are having an event and that event is going to go past midnight. They would probably apply for a noise abatement permit. Now, you have to make a noise abatement permit application at least 10 days in advance. The Commissioner
And you make that application to
the Commissioner of Police.
Okay.
So what we do is that if your license is a bar license, it means that you got to close at 12 o'clock. We say to you, well, you've got to apply to the Financial Secretary and get permission for you to be able to can sell intoxicated liquor beyond 12 midnight. Because if you do not have that, therefore your noise permit can only be up to midnight.
Okay. So how long can a club be open and selling liquor? 24 hours. Oh, so okay. So a club can, as long as the club is soundproof, it can go on as long as it wants.
Yes.
And as long as it's not disturbing the neighbor, nobody complains.
Right.
It can go on as long as it wants. And the extra time that's an event, that's a special event, that the extra time that you need to apply for, that's if you having a wedding that's late at night or something. No, you mentioned, I'm trying to get my bearing here. Something for tourism, what would that be?
Let's say Myers is putting on a show, for instance.
Okay.
Myers has a bar license, but he's putting on a show.
He's having a band and
he's having a band. He's going to use loudspeaker, big event.
Yeah.
He wants to go until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and he wants to sell intoxicated liquor. He needs to have that permission from the Financial Secretary.
Okay.
If you are having a party and you don't have no intention of selling liquor, it's different. You know,
okay, so your party
can deal
could go
strictly on the Noise Abatement Act.
Okay.
But
But a private person having a party and having
at
some
your house.
at your house.
No, if you're going to use loudspeaker music, yes, you need a noise permit, but you would not need anything. You're not a licensed liquor premises.
So you're not selling it.
You're not selling it. You just it's a private use and it's your private party. How much does liquor license cost? I think everybody.
You know, it's a little bit embarrassing to be talking about these fees from 1964, but a wholesale license is $600 per annum. Retail throughout the territory is $150 per annum. A bar license in Rotong is $50 per annum, whereas a bar license outside of Rotong is $35 per annum. So basically, when you appear before the magistrate twice a year, you're basically, for $35, you're only paying $17.50, because that's for 6 months, and then the other $17.50 for the other half, right? And still license is $50 an annum. Hotels, now the hotel licenses are broken down based on the rooms. So hotels with less than 10 rooms, $100 per annum. With 10 to 25 rooms is $150 per annum. And if you have a hotel with 26 to 50 rooms, it's $200 per annum. And the last category of hotels are hotels with more than 50 rooms at $300 per annum. Restaurant licenses, $300 per annum. A club license, I guess they're open longer, $500 per annum. A beer license is $50 per annum. That's in Rotong, but if you're outside of Rotong, it's $35. And then the temporary licenses that Mr. James talked about, like for festival and stuff, is $10 per day for spirits, and then for beers is $5 per day.
So the liquor license don't cover all alcoholic beverages, or you
No,
if you want to
beers-
sell beer, you just want to sell beer
Yeah,
alone?
right, because remember sometimes you might have like a gas station that just want to sell some beers. They don't want to
Right,
sell alcohol.
alcohol, yes.
So they just have beers.
Okay.
So they want the heavy liquor, so you have a beer license
Okay.
for some of the smaller shops. And then, so the restaurants and stuff will probably have the one that will sell everything.
Now, Deputy Commissioner James, I noticed in certain areas of the country, you have a bar here, one down next door, one a little further up the street. You have like a street of bars. So is the police that permit that? I mean, when you go to the magistrate and you don't say, well, we already got 4 bars, 3 bars in this neighborhood. We don't need another bar in this neighborhood.
Actually, Cromwell, that is a ground of objection, really, that there's already sufficient bars to serve that area. But at the end of the day, the decision is left to the senior magistrate to make that decision. I know the senior magistrate is very concerned about that particular fact, and she would make her decision around that.
Yeah, but I mean, it has happened nonetheless. It exists. You know, I mean, I pass it every day, actually. You know, I'm saying to myself, this is reminding me of Harlem, where they have a church here, a bar there, a church there, a bar there, a church there, and a bar there. We have the whole neighborhood is proliferated with churches and bars. It's something that's like, I'm sure there's some kind of sociological explanation.
Well, as we're looking at the new legislation, Mr. Smith, that's one of the things that the chief planner is going to be mapping for us using a GIS program, because we do have all the block and parcel numbers, so they're going to be mapping out so that we can clearly see, because you know, in order to influence a policy decision, you need to have the evidence. So going forward, if the government needs to make a decision, whether you're going to say within 50 feet, how much ever, there's a rule for XYZ, and a certain number, it means that we must have the information to present. So as we're getting ready to submit the final draft to Cabinet, that is some of the information that will be presented to Cabinet in terms of how the country, where these bars are located, and whether or not there's a need to start restricting whether we will have additional bars in a particular area, because it is an area of concern, and especially in a lot of them are happening in residential areas. So persons are getting overly concerned again with the noise, because like Mr. James says, some of them want to be opening later, and as some people also say that some of them are open for very early in the morning, and they see people drunk from very early in the morning, and it's not good.
Well, you have the noise, right? You have the unsightliness, and you have property value.
Exactly.
You know, because I got my nice house in what used to be a nice neighborhood that has now turned into a place full of bars and drunkards, and nobody buying my house again.
Not even renting.
Or even renting. Yeah.
That's
So that's a major issue. What are some of the other challenges that the police have with bar operators and the licensing process? Do you find that you have a lot of negligence in terms of licensing, people ignoring the licensing dates and so on?
That's some of the challenge. Some of the challenge is submitting the application in a timely manner. As the PS indicated, new applications you need to do 14 days in advance. When the application is submitted late, it means that the inspection can't take place. When the inspection takes place too late, so you can't meet the court date. You find these persons don't display their license as they should. They're required to display their license prominently inside their
So you walk in
premises. You're supposed to see it. There's a fine, you know, if you don't have your license displayed. I know it's small. It's only $5 per day until you have it displayed, but it is an offense. Some of the challenges we have is around closing hours as well. People
They want to stay open later.
People want, yes. They find 12 o'clock is early. They don't want to close, but they are required by law to close. And they will be making noise. So they're playing music at levels that are disturbing other persons. You know, those are some of the major challenges.
What are penalties? Do we have any penalties? Somebody you come in, somebody's open later than they're supposed to be open, you just tell them, listen, please close down, or I don't even know how many.
It's an offense. Again, the penalty.
How many times the
small.
police come around really and close a bar for being open too late?
On a few occasions, you know, I think on a lot of occasions they do a bit of community policing and speak to the persons and ask them to close instead of reporting them. Of course, there are some repeated offenders who don't like to comply. So on occasions you get people being reported.
And so, can you close the bar?
Yes, you can.
You could just like order everybody out and closing the door.
Yes.
Okay. And we have talked about the penalties. I don't know if you could you have to go.
I think the penalty is somewhere about $200.
Okay. You have to look for that. So all right. Now, along with and this is a totally out the subject, but it bothers me. Right, and since I got the power to bring it up, my discretionary power. Smoking and the display of the signs in the bar, right? That is not, as a police, one of the groups or the agencies responsible for enforcing the no smoking law.
Yes.
Yes. But I don't see no police. No time I go out to party, I don't see a police nowhere around at all. And that's one thing I'm wondering about with the police. And the other thing is that people keep smoking. The managers are not telling them to stop smoking, and and I feel like I'm the police, because I'm gonna say, I just can't take the cigarette smoke. And somebody will say, well, you're gonna call them in places anyway, but that's another issue.
You have a right to go.
That's another issue, right? But what about enforcing that particular law?
Cameron, I must say we are guilty of the lack of enforcement of that particular piece of legislation. I think we need to do a lot better in relation to that legislation. The signs that are supposed to be displayed, officers are supposed to ask people when they see them in the public spaces smoking to ask them to stop or to report them. But certainly a lot of that is not happening.
All right, so your next Monday morning meeting, I'd like you to take care of that issue. I think we covered. What some of the new provisions? Can you speak to some of the new provisions that's going to be coming up?
Okay.
In the act, the modernization of the act. Anything you could tell us right now?
Yeah,
that's going to be changing.
Well, definitely the fees need to be revised. I can't speak to what is being proposed right now because I know we're in the season where people don't want to hear about increased fees, but definitely they need to be revised because I think if all of us are honest with ourselves, there's nothing in this country that costs the same from 1964 to 2017. The fees are in it because the processing, it takes time. Especially when people come and apply for temporary liquor licenses with us, you have to get all this paperwork, they have to go out and inspect because this was not part of their duties at the time. So we have to depend on environmental health, fire, police to go and inspect. So definitely the fees will be revised. Stiffer penalties, because if you have to pay $100 for not complying with something, I can pay $100 and keep moving.
Right.
So we need to increase the penalties so that they'll serve as a deterrent. New application procedure, I think, is one of the major recommendations that was approved by Cabinet to be included. It is felt that applications, that all licenses basically should be valid for at least a year because the 6 months, for some business owners, the 6 months comes around too fast. So it is better for them to pay once a year.
But that must be cumbersome on administration to the government.
As administration, right? Because the magistrate, of course, with all that is, with the increase in crime and all that the magistrate goes has to do, it's a lot of paperwork for the magistrate office that already has limited staff having to be dealing with child.
I would make it more than 1 year.
Yes, so I think the 1 year is there to make sure that people don't get too comfortable and try to do, because if you don't have to go back, maybe you might take a chance of violating some aspect of the law. But if it's an annual requirement like other licenses, and it is anticipated that the procedure, that the recommendation is to put a board in place, a licensing board in place that can be reviewing applications throughout the year. And rather than going to people having to go before the magistrate court. Some people find that it's a little intimidating, but again, if you renew your application, you only appear before the magistrate for the new application. You don't appear before the magistrate for renewal.
So they're taking it out to the magistrate court altogether?
Right.
And putting it where?
In the hands of a board. That is a recommendation, that you'll have a licensing board that deals with it. And we're definitely looking at efficiency. Right now, you know, Mr. Benjamin talked about having to take an application form to police and one to Inland Revenue and one to... So we have
8 different locations?
Yeah, for the new application, there's a lot of places that you have to go. So we're hoping that, you know, once the system is in place, the board is in place, the secretariat is in place, that basically once the applications are in, these different agencies will have access to the applications, and they can issue their comments there rather than having to be physically walking around with all these applications.
Yeah. What about online process, where you could email in your application, then you could just forward it to the various agencies, they look at it, and, you know.
So there is provision for...
There's no walking around in all this paper.
Right. There is provision also for applications to be submitted electronically, but of course, you know, we can't do away with the physical submission of applications, because while we think that most businesses should have access to a computer, there might be some persons who don't have access to the computer. So that provision will remain, but the provision will be there for applications to be submitted electronically.
Oh, that's cool.
So I know the cost. What else we have in the new legislation? The inspectorate. What we're trying to do, because right now we have different agencies having to inspect. So we're hoping that we can have an inspectorate team that can be trained to look for all the different things that all the 3 different agencies look for right now. Police will still have a role, but instead of having one fire officer going out to look for what fire looking for, one from environmental health going to look for environmental health, we are hoping that we can have inspectors appointed by the minister who will be trained to go out and inspect all premises.
For all the various categories.
For all the various categories, as opposed to all the different agencies. Because I'm sure we realize that the police have a lot on their plate these days.
Right.
So if they have to keep going out to check. So basically, once you're trained as an inspector, you should be able to go and do the inspection and submit the report. So those are some of the provisions that we're looking at right now. And also, there were some specifications in the current act with respect to the way the sign, because I think on every building is supposed to have a sign that says license to sell liquor. That not all businesses do that right now. But I think...
I have never seen that.
Yeah, but when we were in the committee stage, we were back and forth as to whether we should leave it in or not. And I think some committee members felt that if I'm driving by, I need to know that that is a place that sells liquor without having to physically go in to see. Okay? So we're making some provisions for additional, because you know now people have electronic signs instead of, because I think it was so specific about
the letter size,
and everything.
The size of the sign.
The size of the sign and everything. So we are trying to implement some flexibility there. And of course, somebody said that you have to bear in mind that in a neighborhood, you have to be careful with electronic signs, because I might be sleeping through the night and this light is there disturbing me all the time.
Yeah.
So we're trying to look at those.
Some of these signs could be quite unsightly. And
yes.
Yeah, you know,
yes. So you want to make sure that they look presentable for the area.
And especially in the neighborhood where you have all these bars, and you come down the street driving in your neighborhood and all these places light up.
liquor. Yes, so we are addressing some stuff with that in the new legislation as well.
Yes, indeed. That's a lot. So we covered everything?
I think basically, and just to reinforce, because all those persons who came to the Deputy Governor's office between January and last month, applying for temporary liquor licenses, I just want to remind them that they are now considered new applicants. So they need to make sure the deadline is May 18th, which is on Thursday.
Right.
You want to make sure that those applications are submitted to the magistrate.
These are new applicants.
New applicants.
You never had a liquor license before, you just opened a new business, or you just want to expand your business.
Or those who missed the last,
those who missed the last deadline.
Yes, they need to make sure to get them in, because ever so often, Mr. Smith, they come, I forgot, I didn't remember, I was off island.
And you ain't showing no mercy. That's why you're on the spotlight, because...
So we're trying to avoid them having to come out, because you know what, let me put in my disclaimer now, because a couple days ago we did a program on the radio, so somebody came and asked me, which hat am I speaking on? Am I speaking as a minister? Am I speaking as permanent secretary? Am I encouraging people to buy alcohol? I'm not encouraging them to buy alcohol. I'm trying to save them from coming to our office unnecessarily, because we have a public service to run and we need to be focusing on improving our customer service right now. So we want the persons, the provision is there, go to the magistrate. It's not a hard process. People complain, but it's only for the new. You get your two advertisements in the newspaper. You still have time, and I wanted to stress that you need to submit your application to the magistrate. It is not necessary to have the newspaper advertisements in submitting the application.
Okay.
So submit the application. You have this week and you have next week. So you still have an opportunity to get those advertisements in.
So as long as you get in your
Get
application
in the
before
application
tomorrow.
by Thursday.
By Thursday, right, by Thursday.
And then make sure you advertise.
And so you could bring in your two
Yes.
ads 2 weeks later.
Of course, today is what? Today is Tuesday, and I think the advertising deadline for the papers is probably today.
That's right. So if you ain't got it in, you're in big trouble.
So until we get to the point where we can have online advertising, we need to make sure that you comply. And then for persons who have to renew, they can take them up until the licensing date. But we want to encourage them to get them in ahead of time, because you never know if you forgot something home or something. You don't want to have to bombard the magistrate court the last day with all these applications. So we want to encourage persons, they still have time to submit them in a timely manner and to comply. The police come around, the police are, it's amazing. We want the police to do their jobs, but then when the police start enforcing certain things, we want to curse the police. Enforcement is a problem in this country, and people need to comply with the law. Yes, the law might be old, but there are provisions there. And for those persons who are out there operating their bars and restaurants or whatever for all these years without renewing your licenses, we just want to encourage you to comply, because once we've warned you, then the police come around.
Another question: well, first of all, are there a lot of persons who are operating bars without licenses? Have you been able to determine that?
Well, we have not. Well, for instance, I think the person in Inland Revenue will probably be the ones who are more knowledgeable of that, because they're the ones who collect the fees. But the magistrate court also takes note of, for example, if I had 286 last December, they also take note of those who did not renew. So they would know the ones who have not renewed. So it will be, I guess we need to do some collaboration where if they don't come back to the magistrate, maybe the magistrate court needs to send a list to the police and say, listen, these people here have not complied.
Well, do you check on, say, during the renewal period, for example, if you know the renewal period deadline is June 1st, right? Say June 2nd, 3rd, or July, do the police go around and start checking bars to see, like how, I noticed that when you have to register your vehicle, for example, right? At a certain point of the month, the traffic department will be checking your sticker to see, well, in January you need to have this color sticker on.
Right.
And if you ain't got it on, then something is wrong.
Well, the Inland Revenue Department most accurately have that information, and the discussion that Mr. Benjamin and I was having prior to the commencement of the show is that following the licensing period, that we are going to go by districts and deal with all those premises that did not renew their license.
Okay, so there's a plan. There's a plan
Yes.
for that. So if you don't have your license, you could count on the police coming around and catching you.
Yes.
All right. Well, I have to say we covered a lot, and certainly it was an interesting discussion, and we hope that persons take advantage of the opportunity to come and get their licenses renewed, and for those persons who want to get new applications in, you better hurry, because
time is running out.
Time is running out. Yes, indeed. So, any last word? I think you covered.
Well, just to thank my colleagues here, Mr. Benjamin and Mr. James, for their support tonight, and all the agencies who work along with us, Environmental Health, Fire Department, who else we have, and for the committee that has been working extremely hard. We have the Attorney General's chambers. I know sometimes people say that things take a long time, legislation take a long time, but we have been over this draft several meetings, several hours, because you think that you've covered some of the challenges, and then when all the agencies come together, you realize we need to be careful with this, we need to make some changes, we need to make some adjustments. So even as I speak, the draftsman emailed me up to yesterday with some changes that we need to look at. She needs clarification at, because the agencies are the ones who are working the legislation. The draftsperson is just drafting it based on what exists in other countries, based on other legislation that they have to comply with. But the practitioners are the ones who have to provide guidance for her. So with the new legislation, I should have said that there will be no issuing of temporary liquor licenses, certainly from the Office of the Deputy Governor, because everything would be submitted to the Liquor Licensing Board, and because applications are being processed all throughout the year, there will be no further need for temporary licenses. So even if there will be no date licensing. Well, I shouldn't say that really, because they'll be processing, they'll still have to give notice as to when they're going to have licensing days or whatever. But there will not be a need for temporary licenses to be issued, because you can apply to the board throughout the year.
Well,
that is a plan.
That's good news, I think.
So it will reduce some of our work, and then we can focus on helping to improve the public service.
I had no idea that there were so many agencies involved in liquor licensing.
Yeah, because in wisdom, the draftsperson wisdom from 1964, they realized that there's a period of January and there's a licensing date in December. In between, somebody would create a new business. In between, somebody would forget to register. So the provision was made for that. Cool. And then they knew about some people wanted to do a one-off event and stuff, so they made provision for it.
Absolutely.
So even in 1964, they were still thinking deep.
It's true, because the one-off events of increasing in the territories, a lot of
there's the temporary ones.
Partying, and we developing a vibrant nightlife in the territory.
We are coming up on our festival period.
That's right.
Soon. We have a lot of special applications. So again, it's to remind persons not to wait last minute. It's
to
usually
get your
a rush.
application in, that's right.
Make your application in a timely manner.
2 months away, 3 months away, the festival, about 2 months away. Wow, time flying, eh?
Yeah.
Well, acting Permanent Secretary in the Deputy Governor's Office, Sister Igwig, it's good to see you as usual. Good to have you on the program.
Thanks for having us.
Feel free to come anytime. And Deputy Commissioner, Brother James, it's always good to see you as well. We need to see more police in the night hours. I don't see enough police out in the night. I see a lot of them in the day, and the crime happening in the night, in the darkness. And I need to see more police on your Monday morning, again, meeting. You have to increase the number of police in the night. Whether you put them on foot or you put them in cars, I don't see them in the night, and I'll be out in the night. So I know what I'm talking about. So we need to increase that. But it's good to have you as usual, and of course,
thanks for having us.
My good brother in the Inland Revenue Service and Inland Revenue Department, Assistant Commissioner Charles Benjamin. It was good to have him as well. Very informative, knowledgeable person. And a good brother in Inland. The Inland Department does a good job.
Good.
I have to commend them. I've had to deal with them and to bring my taxes up to date, and they took good care of me, so I want to give them a plug for that. Yes, indeed. Spotlight is seen Tuesdays here at 8 p.m. on Channel 55. Every broadcast Sundays at 2:30. Watch Spotlight on demand at jtvlive.net. Or you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/SpotlightBVI. Catch up with the latest spotlights, make a suggestion, make a comment, like our page, please, and suggest the guests and the topics you'd like to see and hear. I'm Edgerenka, reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by CCTBVI, Life Unlimited, and the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official Bank of Paradise.